Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar that will give you an overview of ISO 9001 implementation steps. My name is Pereira da Cruz, and I'm an author at 𝗨𝗲𝗴𝗲. I do quite a lot of ISO 9001 consulting and training. Still, I also audit as lead auditor. So today, I will share my thoughts about implementing ISO 9001. My presentation will be about 40 minutes long, followed by a 20-minute question and answer session. If you have a question, feel free to ask during my presentation instead of waiting for the Q&A session. Of course, I also address any remaining questions during that time. We will later send you an email with a link to the recording of this webinar and to the list of articles mentioned, okay? Now, let's see. So why is this webinar important or relevant for you? So, well, to gain knowledge needed to implement ISO 9001 effectively, saving time and resources. Now, what we will talk about? Well, we'll talk about step-by-step guidance on ISO 9001 implementation, overcoming challenges and best practices. I won't cover the entire standard due to time constraints, but I'll focus on what's most important for today's topic. And if you want more details about the complete implementation process of the quality management system, please check out our series of blogs and articles on our website or our free online courses. And so why is this webinar particularly dedicated? Who is this webinar particularly dedicated to? Well, ISO 9001 professionals, including quality managers, auditors, consultants, and implementation teams. Okay, now let's see the agenda for today. So we'll discuss the following topics. First is the pitfalls. What are the main pitfalls in an implementation project? Then, how can you speed up an implementation project? Then, how can you prepare yourself and your organization for the implementation? And what are the steps? What steps should be considered during ISO 9001 implementation? That's perhaps the core of this webinar. And finally, what are the biggest challenges in ISO 9001 implementation based on the emails that I received before this webinar, okay? Now, let's start, okay? So first, pitfalls in the implementation. So the question is, what are the main pitfalls in the implementation project? So, well, not having commitment, lack of commitment. So here, lack of commitment, not having commitment means there's a lack of support from top management, which leads to insufficient time to show what's important. Every subordinate closely observes their boss's actions. What truly matters isn't just what top management says, but what their actions and priorities show, okay? So if they don't show relevance for these in their agenda, this is not relevant. Now, the other pitfall is proceeding without a detailed plan. So implementing a project without a detailed plan is a big mistake. Having a plan is fundamental. A well-thought-out plan is necessary to keep our work on track and reduce surprises, such as delays or missing deadlines. Beware of something that's called the planning fallacy. So the tendency to underestimate time, costs, and risks despite having relevant information. So this leads to delays, budget overruns, and unmet objectives. You know, superficial planning may win contracts by hiding challenges, but ignored risks inevitably will surface, okay? And causing costly setbacks. And by the time issue emerges, the project is too far along to turn back. Often a deliberate tactic of strategic misrepresentation, leading to failure by design. Next pitfall is not establishing document templates early on in the project. So failing to establish document templates early in the project gives the impression of pure planning and organization. It creates doubt about the quality of your work and wastes time later on to standardize what could have been done earlier since the beginning. Okay. Now, another one is this not understanding the standard, using overly complicated interpretations, and adding too much bureaucracy are all pitfalls to avoid. And yeah, ineffective management reviews. So giving inadequate attention to management reviews makes them ineffective right from the start. And again, they transmit the information that this is not relevant. There's no commitment from top management. Now, I leave here a link for an article that you can check later. So what are the biggest challenges while setting up an ISO 9001 based QMS, and how do you overcome them? Okay. Now, how can you speed up the implementation? So think about seeking external assistance. You don't have to create everything from scratch. So designing and documenting the QMS is a crucial part of the implementation. So therefore, it's important to consider getting help from external sources, like what advisors offer, such as toolkits or online tools that aid in implementing the standard. Now, avoid having one person for the entire project. So forming a project team that can handle different aspects of the project is important. Selecting the right people and ensuring their involvement, even if they are the busiest in the company, can be challenging, but it's really important. So it's essential to inform them about their participation, schedule meetings accordingly, and make the most of their time. For instance, involving the production manager, sales manager could be beneficial. Of course, could be beneficial, and the rules will be less bureaucratic. Will be much more relevant for what is to provide results. Okay. Now, last one is apply online solutions for task and document management. So consider using online solutions for managing tasks and documents. So the implementation team should be involved in developing the necessary documents. However, using templates can significantly speed up the documentation process. Templates simplify dealing with technicalities or more tedious parts of the implementation, allowing focus on maintaining, updating, and aligning the system with the ISO 9001 standard. So I invite you to later check this free webinar, how to use a documentation toolkit for the implementation of ISO 9001. And there's a question that I received before this webinar, a question from Raul. Raul asked, what should be an easy and practical way to manage documents in the modern context, with the AI tools, SharePoint, etc. So I prepared the slide for the Q&A just regarding this topic, okay? So managing documents in the modern context with AI tools. Now, preparing for the implementation. So how to prepare for the implementation? Let's see. So first, perform a gap analysis to compare your current system with the standard requirements, okay? Identify what's already in place and what needs implementation. Use this analysis to create task lists, a list of tasks for each section of the standard, okay? So in preparing the implementation plan, start with the gap analysis, similar to an internal audit. It's not an internal audit technically, but it's very similar. So it assesses your company's compliance with the standard requirements and highlight what's already in line and what needs attention. Now, you can access our free tool on our website using this link that I'm going to include now in the chat. And check this article. Should you use a gap analysis in your ISO 9001 implementation? Okay, so you do a gap analysis, you see, you compare what you have and the requirements of the standard, and you have a list of gaps. Now, based on the gap analysis, okay, create a project plan detailing tasks, document creation, responsible individuals, and deadlines, and include additional information like project sponsors that are important when things need a special help. Considering the organization size and available time, okay, consider the number of project sponsors regarding the organization size and available time. So more involvement means more effectiveness and speed. Proceeding without a plan can lead projects to indefinite timelines. Having a plan sets specific deadlines, shows measurable progress, and allows corrective action if deadlines aren't met. Ensure that you have an ISO steering team that approves and supports the plan. They'll oversee the timeline and implementation, providing input or even preparing the plan themselves. And assign responsibilities for tasks like procedure writing, conducting surveys, evaluating suppliers, and internal audits. And gain top management support to allocate resources for the project. In ISO implementation, resources mainly mean people's time and knowledge. So allocating time from other activities, using existing knowledge and seeking external help when needed are very, very important. The requirements are primarily organizational, not reliant on new technologies, avoiding additional expenses for the project. So I invite you to later check this article, how to choose a project manager for your ISO 9001 implementation. Let's see here, we have some questions. Okay. Now, let's see the steps in ISO 9001 implementation. Okay, number one, get management support. So gain support from management by communicating in their language and understanding their perspective, what they really want from this implementation. Consider the strategic direction and challenges of the organization. This support is crucial for successful ISO 9001 implementation. Plan how to persuade management that ISO 9001 is beneficial and outline its advantages, okay? So I'll leave you a link for an article called 4 Crucial Techniques to Convince Your Top Management About ISO 9001 Implementation. Now comes what? Okay, you have management support. Now define the context. So define the context of your organization. So understand its environment, internal issues, relevant interested parties, risks and opportunities. Conduct a SWOT analysis, for example, involving relevant people from your organization to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I leave you a link for an article called How to Identify the Context of the Organization in ISO 9001-2015. Okay, so about the context, be aware that, for example, if your organization is an organization that works with volume, what is relevant in terms of context normally is very different from what is relevant for an organization that works, for example, based on innovation or design or customization. So be aware of that. Now, define the context. Now, step number 3, define the scope of the QMS. So determine the relevant scope of your QMS. And this decision is managerial, not technical, okay? Because with ISO 9001, we have a lot of room to decide what is the scope of our QMS, okay? So defining the scope helps set boundaries, ensuring your focus on areas that impact your system. Use the quality policy, the first document needed for the QMS, and the organization's context to define the scope. When we do not invest adequately, okay, in this step, we increase the possibility of being victims of what is called in project management scope creep, okay? So during implementation. So when project requirements exceed what was initially agreed upon, when we don't invest enough in defining the scope of the QMS, sometimes the scope is very foggy, so very hazy, and we will define that during the project. And what happens is that normally what happens is that the scope is growing, and things that you didn't consider at the beginning, now you need to come back again to consider something that now we decided that will come to be part of the scope of the QMS. So please check this article, how to define the scope of the QMS according to ISO 9001, 2015. Now comes step number 4, about define processes and procedures. Okay, so this one will take normally more time. So define the processes within your QMS and their interactions. Determine the necessary procedures and instructions. Remember, processes and procedures are 2 different things. Okay, you may have a process described by 2 procedures. You may have a procedure describing 2 or more processes. Okay, so this includes both mandatory documentation, 9001 documentation and records, and additional ones required by your company for consistent quality outcomes. Understanding how process interacts within your organization is very important, as issues often arise within these interactions. Yeah, normally when we have problems in an organization, normally what happens is not inside a department or inside another department, but is in the borders between departments. And that's the big issue with the big importance of processes, is that processes don't care about departments, they cross departments. So be aware of that. So we have here 2 questions. One is Layert asked, I am implementing ISO 9001 in one company, and I would like to know if you recommend to elaborate a quality manual, because I know that it is not obligatory anymore. Now, my answer is absolutely yes. Okay, although the quality manual is no longer mandatory under 9001 2015, it continues to be a valuable resource for organizations. So a well-structured quality manual provides an overview of the QMS. Okay, provides a big picture of the QMS, helping employees, auditors, and interested parties understand the system structure, how key processes interact, and how the company answers to the 9001 requirements. So it truly acts as a navigation guide. Okay, clarifying the organization's quality policy, objectives, and key responsibilities without overwhelming users with excessive documentation. Additionally, it can help new employees, suppliers, and customers quickly grasp the company's commitment to quality. Okay, so I really am very fond of quality manuals, something like a digital document or a document in your intranet, where anyone can in the company can navigate and have an idea and the big picture of the QMS. Related question, Julie asked, replacing a physical manual with evidence-based system, what are the benefits and pitfalls? So I believe the question likely refers to transitioning from a traditional physical manual to a digital manual. So, and okay, again, I'm all in on that, yeah? For me, a quality manual is an identity document. So a document that describes who are we as a company or as an organization? Why do we exist? To whom do we work? How do we work? So, and it's a platform, okay? A platform that, allows you to navigate, so that sends you to where you want to go to learn about the QMS. Okay, benefits is better accessibility and efficiency, faster audits and reduced paperwork, and better integration with other systems. So if you work with a digital document, so better integration with the ERP, CRM, or supplier management tools. Pitfalls, well, there may be some initial resistance to change and the dependence on technology, okay? Now, let's see step number 4. Okay, implement processes and procedures. Okay, sometimes your current work methods might not need changes, all right? Other times adjustments are necessary because old practices didn't align with ISO 9001 requirements, or because certain practices were absent, like order review, quality control plan, product service specification control, customer satisfaction. Many, for example, yesterday I was working with a company where they have a lot of things that they already comply with a lot of requirements in ISO 9001, but they don't have supplier evaluation. They have a supplier qualification, but they don't do supplier evaluation. So many of these processes might already exist in your company. They might need proper documentation for consistent results. Not all processes need detailed documentation, but deciding which ones require documentation is vital to ensure compliant products and services. And you'll find all of these documents in your ISO 9001 premium toolkit. Let me show you how it looks like, okay? So as an example, this is the list of documents in the ISO 9001 premium documentation toolkit. You see here, we have procedures, we have templates, records, or templates that will be transformed in records. Okay, so I will show you this one, this procedure. I'll show you this template, this, we have, this kind of also procedure. I will show you this example. Yeah. So yeah, and the last one is for management review. Let us see an example of the procedure. So procedure for competence, training, and awareness. So you see, this is Word document, completely customizable. Okay, with you have here some suggestions, some helps with documents that you can check or other kind of suggestions. So yeah, so competence, training, and awareness. You have here is the table of contents, things like, okay, things that normally I don't see in procedures, okay, regarding training, things like defining objectives and organizing training. So if we don't do this, how can we later assess training effectiveness? Okay, for example. So yeah, you see here, you can use this one here and according to your organization chart. So you can put here what is the relevant job for this, and yeah, and let me show you this one here. Okay, so an example of the template that can be used for recording the training. Yeah, okay. And let me show you an example for clause 8.5 about providing service or the operation for the in this case, okay, providing service, okay, procedure for software development, and you have here, and so the planning, the authority, the responsibilities, the inputs, the validation, the verification, the release, and just one example more. If you come here, you will see that we have these kind of examples for several industries, okay? Manufacturing, construction, food processing, transportation, chemical products, manufacturing of electrical and optical equipment, production of machinery and equipment, production of metals. You see a lot of examples, okay? Now, let's go back here. So implement processes and procedures. Now comes step number 6, train people and raise awareness. Train and inform people about new practices, so quality policies, objectives, and their impact on the quality management system, results, and product service conformity. It's fundamental for everyone in the organization to understand the QMS and their role within it. Okay, so employees should be trained on what ISO 9001 is and why it's being implemented, alongside specific training on any changes to the processes they're involved in. By the way, during the Q&A, I have a slide where I speak about this, the importance of training and the importance of awareness, okay? Now, we have here a question. Azil asked, what departments are included in an ISO 9001? So, ISO 9001 follows a process approach, okay, rather than a department-based structure. So it applies to all departments that impact quality, okay, such as leadership, operations, customer service, sales, procurement, human resources, maintenance, and any other areas involved in delivering products or services that meet customer and regulatory requirements, okay? Simplifying, I could say that, well, finance is not included. Responsible for some indicators, okay? For example, last Monday, I was working with a company where, because their product, there's a lot of compliance obligations, regulations regarding their product, even legal department is affected, okay? It contributes to the QMS, okay? Now, step number 7, select a certification body. So choose a certification body, consider criteria relevant to your situation, and inquire about their requirements, okay? By the way, I believe that organizations should select a certification body, or may have some advantage in selecting a certification body well in advance of asking for the certification audit, okay? Because sometimes there are doubts, and you can contact your certification body and ask their opinion. For example, if you have doubts about the scope, okay, you can ask them, okay, can you accept this scope? Do you think that this scope is acceptable for you? Okay. So they will audit, the certification body, they will audit your QMS to determine compliance with 9001 standards and assess its effectiveness and improvement. So interview multiple certification bodies to find the best fit for your company. I leave a link for the article, How to Choose an ISO Certification Body. Now comes step number 8, operate the QMS, measure the system. So operate the QMS, measure its performance, collect historical data, and improve continually. Okay, during this phase, gather records necessary for audits to demonstrate that your processes meet requirements, are effective, and show ongoing improvements as needed. Okay, certification bodies require a certain time frame of data to ensure the system is mature enough to exhibit compliance. Okay, and that differs from certification body to certification body. So again, another reason for contacting them in advance and saying, okay, what is your the historic time that you need? Now, step number 9, conduct internal audits. So conduct internal audits and follow up. So before the certification body audits your system, perform internal audits for each process. These allow you to ensure process aligned with plans and implement necessary corrective actions for any issues identified, okay? Consider an online ISO 9001-2015 internal auditor course for more comprehensive information. So you have here the link. You can watch the whole course without paying nothing. It's completely free, okay? Step number 10, about conducting the management review. So carry out the management review. Just as management support is crucial during ISO 9001 implementation, their ongoing involvement in QMS maintenance is vital. Management should review specific QMS data to ensure processes have adequate resources for effectiveness and improvement. Later, check this article, see how to make management review more useful in the QMS, okay? So, step number 8, you measure. Step number 9, you do internal audits. Step number 10, you do the management review. Okay, step 11, you take corrective actions with the outputs of 8, 9, and 10. So take corrective actions, identify root causes for any issues found during measurements, internal audits, and management reviews. Corrective actions are essential for improvement, okay? A primary focus of an ISO 9001 QMS. And now the last step is certify the QMS. So stage 1, so you have 2 audits for certification. Stage 1 certification audit, the certification body auditors review your documentation to ensure you've addressed all ISO 9001 standard requirements on paper. It's kind of, is the system well designed? Okay, they'll highlight compliance areas and problems. You'll get a chance to implement corrective actions. These may occur during the initial QMS operation time frame. And then comes stage 2, certification audit. This is to check, well, the system is very well designed, but is it implemented? Okay, so this main audit involves the certification body reviewing accumulated records from your QMS operations, including internal audits, management reviews, and corrective actions. They'll issue a report detailing findings and whether your QMS meets ISO 9001 requirements. Corrective action is needed before certification can be recommended if major issues arise. A well thought out plan greatly assists in ISO 9001 implementation and working towards certification. Take time to plan and identify necessary resources, saving time and resources in the long run. Okay, now let's see the biggest challenges. Okay, so based on the frequency of the questions received before this webinar, these seems to be the biggest challenges with ISO 9001 implementation. So managing documentation. So managing documentation is often seen as a burden, but with modern technology, so AI, organizations can streamline the process significantly. AI-powered document management systems can help automated version control, categorize records, and even generate reports based on real-time data. I will speak a little bit more about this during the Q&A. So additionally, ISO 9001 no longer mandates a traditional quality manual. It remains a useful tool for guiding employees and ensuring consistency. A well-structured manual supported by AI-driven search and retrieval functions, very, very interesting, very, very useful, can simplify compliance, making information easier to access and update. Another challenge is resistance to change. I will have 2 slides about this topic during the Q&A. Okay, so one of the biggest barriers to ISO 9001 implementation is resistance from employees who may see it as extra work or unnecessary bureaucracy. Overcoming this challenge requires clear communication on how the system benefits both the company and its people, improving efficiency, reducing errors, and increasing customer satisfaction. So involving employees in the implementation process and demonstrating quick wins can foster buy-in. Training and awareness sessions, feedback loops, and leadership commitment also plays a very important role in shifting mindsets. Okay, this morning, I saw an article in a newspaper about a company and their problems, and there's so lack of communication. So invest on that. Okay, invest in communication. Now, next topic: integrate business and management systems. Okay, so a key mistake in ISO 9001 implementation is treating it as a separate compliance exercise rather than an integral part of the business. Okay, so the management system should align with business goals, not operate in isolation. This means integrating quality objectives into strategic planning, using performance metrics that reflect business priorities. And many times as auditor, I see organizations with what I call childish objectives. Okay, so a manager that looks into those objectives says, okay. the consultant and the quality manager were playing. Okay, so yeah. Think about that. Think about integrating the objectives and strategic planning. Think about objectives related with the process effectiveness and process efficiency. And so remember, when ISO 9001 becomes a business tool rather than just a certification requirement, it has real value and people recognize that value. And yeah, also integration with other standards. So we have some questions regarding integration of 9001 and 27001. I will show also a slide or two during the Q&A about this topic. So many companies operate under multiple standards. A siloed approach to compliance leads to duplication of efforts and inefficiencies. So for small, medium enterprises, integration is the only way. For bigger organizations, some integration normally is done, but I understand that in some situations the detail in the requirements or the specifications may lead to have some health and safety specialists, quality specialists, information security specialists. So organization. But I will show you during the Q&A with a slide how this can be done, this integration, what I think it's very simple and what I think that needs more investment. Okay, we have some questions here. All right, let's see, let's go to the conclusion. So to conclude, not creating a plan leads to inevitable failure. Okay, without strategic preparation, success becomes unlikely, as there's no roadmap or direction for achieving goals. And yeah, I know, I have that experience. Some companies don't want to have plans, okay, because when you have a plan, if you don't comply with the plan, some in the organization will see that as a failure, and people don't want to show up as failing, so they try to avoid having a plan. It's not possible. It's not good project management. So to conclude, not creating a plan leads to inevitable failure. Okay, so failing to plan means planning to fail. Without strategic preparation, success becomes unlikely as there's no roadmap or direction for achieving goals. And to make the whole implementation process easier and faster, you can use Ādvizzera's ISO 9001 Premium Documentation Toolkit. Here's the link with more details, okay? I'll also send you now the meeting link to schedule a call with our toolkit expert. He'll explain you how toolkit works and show you any document you'd like to see. Okay, so here's the link for the meeting with the toolkit expert. And yeah, let's go for the Q&A. Just before starting, some messages, final messages. So Ādvizzera published a book. I wrote a book called Discover ISO 9001-2015 through practical examples. Perhaps it could help you and your project. It's very practical, not much theory, but with the development of a case study, an example. So I invite you also to check our courses that you can enroll for free. So the 9001 Foundations course about the standard and the 9001 Lead Implementer course, okay? Now, before we begin with the question and answer session, I want to mention that you can also ask me anything about ISO 9001 directly. Just send me an email and I'll answer as quickly as I can. And if you have to leave before this Q&A session is over, please fill in the short survey that will open right after you leave the webinar, okay? So we have here a question. So Rubel asked, what are the most effective strategies for managing resistance to change during ISO 9001 implementation process, especially when dealing with employees who are unfamiliar with the standards, okay? So I prepared 2 slides about this topic, okay? Let me see. So managing resistance to change. I stole this approach from what I've read about startups. So I think this is a template, very useful template for designing an approach to prepare the introduction to the need to make changes and to invite people to participate in designing those changes, okay? When there are established practices. So what I want to do is, between this existing behavior and the new behavior, what I want to do is this, okay? I want to open a crack in the fortress of certainty and experience, okay? Let's remove this from here. So it's like this. There are some forces in favor of change and some forces against change, okay? So what can favor change is you presenting information about that push for the change, okay? So showing that the current practice will not work anymore, okay? So describe facts about the current performance and how bad it is. Describe why is this painful, or show what happened to other organizations, their problems because of this, what is missing here in your system, okay? So it's learning with the problems of others instead of waiting for them to happen to our own company. Now, the other one is a pool of the new idea. So the new practice looks promising. So describe what kind of benefits are expected from with the new behavior adoption, okay? And also, what are the forces against change? So the habits of the present, so inertia. There are things holding me back from changing or holding people from changing, okay? Determine and remove things that hold people from change. And another one that I always remember, anxiety of the new idea. So I got some fears and concerns about the new way. So I'm old enough to remember the first time that I bought on the internet tickets, okay, for a train. And I remember the first time, so I will pay, but I will not see the ticket. So what if there's some problem in the system? So they will keep my money, but I will have no ticket. And then when I arrive there, I will have a problem. So I remember, so anxiety is that. I got some fears and concerns about the new way. Show how those fears and concerns will be addressed, okay? So as examples of inertia, we have some things like lack of leadership commitment. So if top management does not fully support or give priority to the change, employees may resist it, okay? Technical barriers, legacy systems, outdated software, or manual processes that make transition difficult. And examples of anxiety, fear of failure. Employees worry that they won't be able to meet the new quality standards, okay? Or uncertainty about job roles, or concerns that new procedures will change responsibilities or even result in job loss. Or perceived loss of autonomy. Yeah, workers may fear that if you have standardized procedures, will reduce their flexibility and decision-making power, okay? Now, address inertia by explaining the need for change, okay? Providing training and removing barriers. Show quick wins. So things like this. Peak cases of bad performance and the impact for the organization. Show the numbers, show the pain, show examples and cases, okay? Justify the need for change. It's not because the consultant or you, the quality manager or the project manager says that we need to change. No, it's because we have this problem, okay? Or others had this problem. So, and remember, people don't change because they are told to, okay? It's not, the logic or the sequence is not analyze, reflect, change. No, I learned with an American guy, Mr. John Kotter, that people change with see, feel, change, okay? So the power of emotional engagement, okay, over purely rational arguments when driving a change, okay? So yes, data is important, but also show the examples, the storytelling, okay? And now about yeah, the reducing anxiety, show the important thing is show the standard. I show the standard and say, okay, the standard doesn't say how to do it. It's generic requirement. Okay. Can you help me? How can we close this gap? Ask for suggestions. Listen to answers, consult, explore. Okay. Regarding this, also, just follow me in this topic. I hope I was not too much philosophical, but it's like this. Avoid dismissing concerns, but rather acknowledge and understand them. There's a picture in the internet that shows this. So if you look into this part from this side, you will see a cylinder, okay, a three-dimensional body, okay. But if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so if you look from this side, you will see just a rectangle. And if you see from this side, you will see a circle. So the message is, try to wear the shoes of those that seem to be against the change. Why? Okay, why are they thinking like that? Now, let me just, this is the result of stealing the information from three persons: a Nobel Prize winner, someone that studies consciousness, and someone that studies the reality. It's something like this. What you see is all there is, okay? Now, the eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. We only see what our mind allows us to see. And this translates into the eye sees only what the mind is prepared to comprehend, okay? And the conclusion is, what the mind is prepared to comprehend is all there is. This means it's very important. Training is very important, okay? Because if the mind is not prepared to comprehend, the person cannot see, okay? So training. And now remember, in my country, we have this saying, it's never too late to learn, but sometimes it's too early, okay? Sometimes it's too early. Sometimes we don't understand, okay? And that's why I think awareness is very important. So until a few years ago, I didn't pay much attention to awareness. Awareness was, okay, clause 7.3, oh, okay. Today, I give more and more importance to awareness, okay? So we go to training, learn a few things, and then spend a few months without using that knowledge, okay? When the opportunity arrives to apply it, we already forget. And awareness includes recycling, remembering, waking up what has already been learned. So it's very, very important. Training, awareness, very important for this. And remember also the communication, that news in the newspaper this morning, okay? There's a lot of lack of communication between management and the employees. When there's change, people want to know. People don't like this not knowing what will be the final destination. Now, let's see. How do you properly engage people who say they are too busy to help with projects? How can we effectively manage time? So I believe it's using this kind of approach, this kind of approach of showing the pain, the actual pain, and showing the benefits. Okay, and go looking after what holds people from change, and take care of the anxiety topics. But yeah, if try to make the change as an investment, okay? It's not something that we need to do, okay? Yes, okay, but it's something that we need to do in order to avoid this, in order to achieve that. And, okay, question from Eleni. Can you share more info on how to run a scope workshop? Okay, so what I normally do in my work is I have a small video, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, okay, to prepare people for the workshop. And well, I explain, okay, if you go to, I don't have here the link, but if you go to the link to the free webinar about the context about clause 4, okay, in the ISO 9001 webinars of 𝗨𝗏𝗿𝗏, I always present that example of the hotel, okay. I like this example because a hotel has a lot of services, okay. You have hospitality, restaurant, you may have a gymnasium, you may have spa, they may rent rooms for training sessions, they may for seminars, okay. And the management may decide what are going to put inside the scope of our QMS for the hotel. Is just the hospitality, or is hospitality plus spa, hospitality plus restaurant, or so. And that's one of the things to one of the topics, or one of the variables to consider is who are your target customers, okay. Also, for example, in that example for the hotel, I think, okay, an organization, a hotel may decide, okay, we have people that come here at the balcony, at the front of the hotel, and they ask for a room, or they can go for the internet, so individual customers, or we may have travel agencies, or we may have, okay. And the hotel management may decide the QMS only is mainly for, or only for, or what's included in the QMS is for travel agencies, okay, because we want to be the best hotel in this area, in this region, for working with travel agencies. Okay, so it's about that. Okay, so why are you implementing your QMS? Based on that, what is the most useful scope? Okay. Katrina asked, how do we properly explain the importance of implementing 9001 standards into the production flow without boring people? Okay, you can use again this kind of approach. Okay, showing. So, for example, showing what from time to time what goes wrong in the production. Okay, things like lack of efficiency, so overall equipment efficiency is down, or quality problems, or cycle time down, or costs up, raw material wasted, things like that. Present what can be the benefits, okay, with numbers, show examples even from other companies, and it can be again, it's what I'm saying is, you want to open a crack in the fortress of certainty and experience. So, Katrina, I don't know you, but I remember when I was a young consultant, and so I was seeing in their faces things like, you are still learning to walk, and you want to teach us, all the runners of marathons, how to do our job? No, I don't know how to do your job. We have a problem, and I'm here to animate, or to work with you, but with your suggestions, with your ideas, how we can overcome these, how can we improve. Because I don't know nothing about your job. So, but use this. You see here, it's not analyze, reflect, change. So see, feel, change. Show them the pain, show them the potential benefits, let them feel the problem, lost customers, costs, things like that. Okay. let's see. There are some more questions, but I will answer them. But let's go to the slides that I have here. Okay, so Raul asked, I'll talk about that. What should be an easy and practical way to manage documents in the modern context? AI tools, SharePoint, etc. So I will not use here names of applications or tools, okay? But can say is use cloud-based document management systems, okay? So this means centralized storage with version control, access control, audit logs, real-time collaboration and access from any device, integration with workflow automation tools for approvals and updates. So yes, you can use cloud-based document management systems. Yeah. Second one is this automate document control with AI and workflows. So AI-powered document automation for document approvals, revisions, and notifications. Workflows to ensure review, approval, and expiration tracking, automatic archiving of obsolete documents to maintain compliance. Yeah. In another company this week, we, Tuesday after lunch, we discussed this, using these automated notifications, okay, to reduce the cycle time for development of new products, for example, because now people are pressured and they know that they have a notification. We depend on you for the next step. You depend on you for the next step. Yeah. And step number 3, AI assisted document search and retrieval. And yeah, AI powered search tools help employees quickly find procedures and policies. Even OCR, optical character recognition, converts scanned documents into searchable text. And by the way, let me put this arrow here. This is great. This is a great change in how we design and in how I see the next generation of procedures. Okay, so I have seen interesting experiments, not in quality management systems, but with machine manuals to support the operation. Okay, so it's something like you put all the information relevant for that kind of situation, in the AI tool, for example, and you ask, okay, in this situation with these conditions, what are the possibilities? And you have fantastic answers. Okay, you don't, and the time searching is reduced a lot. Okay, so digital forms and electronic signatures, paperless approvals with legally binding e-signatures. Digital forms replace manual logs for non-conformities, retroactive actions, for example. Seamless integration with document workflows, and AI-powered compliance monitoring and reporting. So AI-driven compliance tracking ensures documents remain updated and in compliance. Dashboards for real-time status of document reviews, approvals, audits, monitoring. Now, perhaps this webinar that I will present now, the link can be useful, okay, for you to check later. So the free webinar, how to use generative AI technology for ISO management standards, okay? Right, so let me see, let's go to the slide regarding the integration, okay? And then I think I have 4 questions now here from Barry, Coleman, and Esther, and I will try to answer. Let's go to this one, the integrate 9001 and 27001. Okay, so 2 questions is Karen asked, overlaps with other standards, particularly 27001, so 9001 and 27001. And Mayim asked, what is the approach and tips for implementing an IMS, an integrated management system for 9001 and 27001? Okay, let's see. First, let's forget standards, okay? Let's think about organizations, okay? We have customers, an organization has customers with needs and expectations. And we want to serve them through a set of interrelated and interacting processes, okay? And we hope they become satisfied, okay? And to do that, we need the help. Yeah, we need the help of some interested parties like suppliers, okay, that can help us. And while doing that, we must comply with some restraints or some constraints from compliance obligations. Yeah, set, for example, by regulators and governments, okay? And also, while doing that, we will have some interested parties working against us, okay? Can be competition, or can be hackers. So, and you see, this is independent of any management system standard, okay? Organizations are not families or tribes, okay? They don't exist just for themselves. They exist because they need to serve someone on the outside, a company or a person in the outside. So customer needs and expectations, we need to serve them, okay? So now, let's see how I relate these with the clauses of the standard. So for me, now, let me show you the topics that can be integrated easily, okay? Things like, okay, context of the organization. In theory, is the same thing, okay? Of course, the context for quality, when we think about quality, is not the same as the context when you think about information security, but the logic of the rationale is the same, okay? The focus is different, but the rationale is the same. So you may have the same thing, the same for interested parties in terms of quality, in terms of information security, competence, awareness, and communication. The topics are different, but you can use the same documentation, the same logic, the same approach. Okay. And yep. Policy, objectives, internal audit, management review, corrective action, document control. This is easy also. Again, a policy, you need to have an integrated policy, quality, and ISM and the information security, but the procedures can be the same, okay? Now, let's see what for me are more trickier, okay? So non-conformities and risk management, okay? About the non-conformities, for 9001, non-conformities often relate to process inefficiencies, customer complaints, or failure to meet quality requirements. For 27001, non-conformities are typically tied to security incidents, vulnerabilities, or breach of security controls, okay? So for example, a security-related non-conformity, so weak password policies, might not have an immediate quality impact, making it difficult to categorize and prioritize within an integrated system. So not all security incidents qualify as ISO 9001 non-conformities. So defining a unified approach can be complex, okay? Now, about risks management, now here is a big difference, okay? 9001 focus on risk affecting product, service, quality, customer satisfaction, and processes. 27001 deals with risks related with confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. So we need to consider risks, yeah, here, and here, yeah, and beyond quality, yeah. So it's a challenge to combine these two risk perspectives into a single risk assessment, while ensuring both business and security objectives are met. I don't think it's useful. And by the way, 9001 encourage viewing risks also as potential opportunities, okay? And 27001 sees risks as mainly as threats to security that need mitigation. So it's a challenge to align a proactive, opportunity-driven QMS mindset with a threat-based ISMS mindset in risk treatment. So I think it's better to work in a different way. So I leave you a link for 2 articles. One is how to integrate 9001 and 27001. And the other one is how to implement integrated management systems. Let's see here. So Barry asks, from your experience, which steps would you say is the most difficult to get right? And what are the main challenges encountered? Okay, so remember that topic. One of the main challenges was like this one: integrate business and management systems. Integrate business and management systems. If I want just to get certification is one thing, but if I want to implement a management system that helps the management system, a quality management system that helps the management system, I would say that for me, it's difficult, the discipline for step 8, the part of measure the system. Okay, the discipline of, and it's like this, I do audits, and when I do audits, most of the time the number of corrective actions is very low, and most of the time they are what trigger the corrective action is an event, a complaint, or this, no, it's an event. It's very rare seeing corrective actions triggered by calendar, by we look into the numbers during the monthly review or during the quarterly review. We look into the numbers and we want to improve performance. So it's not a situation where we are running against time because of an event. No, we look into the numbers and we want to improve. So for me, when I think about management system delivering results, a quality management system delivering business results, for me is this measure the system. Okay, if it's just implementing the system for getting certification, it depends from organization to organization. Some organizations, yes, implementing the processes, it's tough because people are very busy, like that first question that I answered. So people are very busy. Okay, so Coleman asked, I am currently working on control of documents and control of records, having difficulty separating the two different use and purpose based on our organization process. Any suggestion? Currently working on control of documents and control of records, having difficulty separating the two different use and purpose. So it's like this: control of documents. Documents are things that may become obsolete in the future. Okay, like you have this. So let me see this one here. Okay, so this is a document, because tomorrow I may make a change here, and then someone approves and we change the version, okay, and the date. Okay, this template is a document. But if today I use this document and I put here first training name, so it's webinar implementing ISO 9001, okay, today, and person will be training, is a guy called Carlos Pereira da Cruz, name of trainees, myself here, okay. Once written, it's a record. Once filled, is a record. It will never become obsolete, because even if you change the template, the format, today this is the current format, and it will stay like that, okay, forever. So that's a record. That record never becomes outdated. Okay. After the time that you have for keeping records is that time is vanished. Okay, you can destroy the record, but it doesn't become outdated. Okay, I don't know, Coleman, if I help here. Esther asked, must you have a process for every procedure? No, I said process and procedure, two different things. You may have a process described with two procedures. You may have a procedure, just one procedure describing one or more processes, okay? But you must have, if you go to clause 4.4.1, okay, there's a process characterization, and you must have some form of characterizing the process. May even be just one A4 sheet of paper with a SIPOC, okay, suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers, okay, table, yeah. And last one, how do you properly engage people who say they are, oh, okay, I already answered this one. Okay, so I think I answered all your questions. Okay, so let's wrap up the webinar. And yeah, and go here. Okay, so yeah, just a few words before we finish. So before this 1 hour webinar was intended to give a general overview of the ISO 9001 implementation steps. You can ask me anything about ISO 9001 directly by email. You can also download this presentation deck from our website or take a look at video tutorials and documentation templates. We'll send you the email with all the necessary links, okay? Finally, if you join this webinar through Zoom, you'll see a short survey. So I would kindly ask to you to spend a minute to fill it in. The recording of this presentation will be available in a few hours. You will receive a link to the recording. If you joined the webinar through LinkedIn and YouTube, you will receive a link to the short survey now, and the link to the presentation will be posted on our event page in a few minutes. That will be all. Thank you for your participation, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Have a nice day.